Nigun from Shabbos, I can't stop singing. It's in my head all since Shabbos.
Sure.
Yeah, don't worry. No, it's not my nigun. He sang it Friday night. You know what he told me about? While we were dancing around the Chadodi, so Yehuda, the one that was Chaz, whispered in my ear, did he tell you this? He said, then the day after Rav Shlomo wrote this nigun, so he was in a car with him on the way to Tel Aviv to some concert. So Rav Shlomo turned to him and said to him, brother, he was 15 years old. He said, what do you think about this nigun? You think it's a good nigun? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you think so? He's like, yeah. He says, okay, we'll keep it. So that's why he's saying he said that it's one of his favorite nigunim. Yehuda Salman was here for Shabbos, so he said, but when he was thinking about it more, he's like, what? How much you give so much confidence to a kid when you ask him a question like that. It gave him confidence for life about his taste in nigunim. So that's very special. All right, the month of Sivan was sponsored by Dalia Orlev, in memory of her sister Joan Fader, Miriam Minas Yisas, in memory of Pinchas Menachem ben Avram David, Zichron Livracha, Ira Brown in honor of his 50th birthday. And this week is sponsored by Michael Levy, in memory of Michael's father, Yosef ben David Ber Levi. And Yechiel and Leah Stein in honor of their daughter, Rachel Tzipporah's bat mitzvah. Ilana and Reb David Singer, in memory of Reb David Singer's father, Rabbi Philip Harris, Harav Pinchas Tzvi ben David. And my sister and brother-in-law, Michal Yuri Reinitz, for their foolish name of Yosef ben Esther. And also by Mindy Barad, in honor of the birth of a grandson to Mindy Barad. I forgot the name right now. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. It's such a schus to mention names every day of learning and saying, when people are giving for Talmud Torah, it's overwhelming. It's beautiful. All right, Chavim, we're maybe finishing Perek, this very mortifying Perek Chet, don't worry. I think today we're going to end off on
Like if you started with a song.
Yeah. Makdim Refuah Lamaka. Start with Baruch Haba. Are there more? There should be in the back over there, right? On the right, on the shelf. Perek Chet, Daf Tzadik Tet, in Achsharat Avrechim, the Piasetzna Rebbe. Siyad Dishmaya. Okay. So, needless to say, this Perek has been a I don't know what to call it, a wake-up call. Huh? Inspiring? You're so optimistic. Inspiring. It's really, you're looking at me with eyes. Don't look at me like that yet. It's been a wake-up call. It's been a gesund wake-up call. It's definitely... it's one of these prakim where you have to, when going through Olam Hazeh and feeling like, you know what, I really did my best to be awake. this is one of these prakim. Like, I really did my best to be awake. The Rebbe is really helping us make sure that we could answer that, that question of, were you awake? Nasata v'natat be'emunah, were you really awake while you were down here? I'm just going to repeat the last paragraph we learned just to give us this boost of energy, to remember what the Rebbe's point in this whole parak was. Look at the top paragraph there. Valdana b'chur v'avrech chasid. Shelo lehatziv otcha chas v'sholom banu. We did not come here to freak you out and make you sad. אנחנו אינן רוצים להציבך, וגם אתה ישמר לבלי להעצב. That was not the point over here, this whole description. מלאך המוות, the second before you die, וכו'. That was not the point. כי כבר הבאנו לך לאלה דברי ספרים הקדושים, איך העצבות רחוקה ומרחקת מן העבודה ומן השראת הקדושה. Sadness does not inspire you to attach yourself to holiness. I want you to remember those words. Sadness does not inspire you to the avoda of holiness. It may inspire you to do different avoda, but not the avoda of kedusha. ורק לדכא את רוח היצר הרע ולהגיס את היצר הטוב עליו אמרה הגמרא יזכיר ליום המיתה ולא שיבוא לעצבות. What we tried to do here was to give you a tactic here to be able to look in the face of brother other side and say, not now, I'm busy. Not now, I'm busy. You could say come back later, but not now, okay? Not now, now.
It's hard to use this tactic though, and not.
And not what?
Like get into that mindset of atzvut, or not atzvut, but like atzvut, I guess. It's hard.
Say exactly what you said right now with a smile. Go.
It's hard to use this tactic and not get sad.
Okay. ובכלל, צריך האיש לדעת שאין שכל ולא היגיון אנושי בעולם ותהלוכותיו נמצא. Okay. So what's the Rebbe telling us now? He's like, okay, let's look at all the things in life that add up to you and make sense to you, and now let's see what logic and sense really adds up when it's only in your own mind. Okay? ואם נמצא את תהלוכות העולם ואת האיש, אז נראה שלא בשעה שהוא שמח צריך הוא לשמוח, ולא בשעה שמתעצב צריך להיות עצב. The Rebbe says like this, you know what, you want to go like shlav by shlav based on your logic? Wonderful. Let's check in and I'll point out to you all the moments in life that you think you're supposed to be happy, I'll show you that really you shouldn't be too happy. And all the moments in life that you think you should be sad, I'm going to show you how that's not really the inyan either. Not to be sad, based on your own conclusions, based on your own logic. Lo et asher yachmod tzarich lichmod. That which you covet, you shouldn't really be coveting. Velo et asher yim'as tzarich lima'es. And that which you are disgusted with doesn't necessarily mean you have to be disgusted with. Avdas ein lanu shenavin bo et asher domeh lanu she'anu mevinim. This is very deep words. Even das, the das that we really think we have, we don't have to understand what we think we understand. Basically, the Rebbe is coming and saying right now, like, to all your conclusions in life. Okay? Just for a second, let's just lenapetz, kind of like take all the conclusions you've come to and say, if we really dug deep, that which makes you happy shouldn't make you happy, and that which makes you sad shouldn't make you sad. That which makes you disgusted shouldn't make you disgusted, and that which makes you want something so bad shouldn't want that. Okay, so what am I left with? עד שנקשה על הדבר שלא נבין אותו. ועל דרך הרמז, אומר הפסוק, איש בער לא ידע, וכסיל לא יבין את זאת. When do we say this pasuk?
Shabbos.
מזמור שיר ליום השבס, נכון? We're going to understand in a second why it's in the Mizmor Shir Leim HaShabbos. What does this mean? Ish ba'ar lo yeda uchsi lo yavin etzah. Reb David, what's the actual translation he gives there for the pasuk?
A boor does not know and a fool does not understand this. Only a boor and fool think that they should have the knowledge to know and understand, and so they are surprised that they do not know and understand, and they exclaim, "This is illogical."
Rak ish. So I'm just going to continue a bit because you went further. רק איש הבר והכסיל חושבים שיש להם דעת לידע ולהבין. Only a fool thinks, I should be understanding what's happening in this world. It should make sense to me. It should be logical to me. לכן מה שאינם יודעים ולא מבינים תלמו עליהם ומקשים. And therefore the things they don't understand, they're like, wait a second, how could this be? as if they're supposed to understand how life works, how life ticks. הלא כנגד השכל הוא, ופוערים את פיהם להקשות, שזהו נגד השכל. Now, who falls under the category of a ksil? I'm raising my hand way up high. I'm raising both my,
What's that seal?
Ksil, a fool. But a fool in the context of, it's all supposed to add up. That's the context of it. Now, on Shabbos, this is really shaykh for a Friday morning chabura, but something about Shabbos removes me from the need to understand how everything works. And it allows me to just be. Oinek Shabbos is not because I understand Oinek Shabbos. It's because I allow myself lishtachrer, all the cheshbonos and the chishuvim, and all the what needs to add up to make sense. Ish ba lo yedach silovin is this. Why won't a ksil understand what Shabbos is all about? Because Shabbos has nothing to do with understanding how it works. Why is it like this? Because Hashem said, "Vayanach b'yom hashvi," right? Because Hashem said so. So he says over here. I mean, he's hopefully not saying you're all ksilim. The Rebbe is not saying you're not. He's not saying we're all fools, but he's just pointing out that the fool is someone that's blown away when things don't add up according to his logic. Okay, I always say this. When this is a heavy statement, but whenever anyone has like the shaila, how could Hashem do this when it comes to death? So sometimes in very rare occasions, I'll say to someone, "Did you ask that when your child was born?" How could Hashem? How does it? You understand how your child is born? You understand that metzius of seed is planted and then a baby comes out with a neshama? You understand that? But you have no problem with it. In the Kabbalah. When do you have a problem with something?
Take it away.
Right. That's when you stop for a second, that's like Chassidus is trying to bring you to this place of bittul, saying, listen, brother, you don't understand anything of the good. You don't understand when you go home right now, you open your fridge, there's food in there. You don't understand that. You start to give all these, no, I work and I have money. And the koyach to have work, it all adds up, it's all logical, it all makes sense? No. A ksil is someone that's blown away by the fact that things suddenly don't add up to his own machshava. There's a lot more. He's going to add a lot over here. אבל מי שאינו בער ולא כסיל יודע שאין שכל והיגיון האנושי בכלל שכל והיגיון בטוח לעמוד בו, אם זהו על פי שכל והיגיון, וזה שלא על פי שכל והיגיון. כי כל דבר אינו בגדר שכל האנושי. Human logic is limited. It's finite. It's finite. En ma la'asot. There's only one thing that makes all the things add up. Rak achat hi. Hashem yitbarach hu הנמצא היחידי, ורצונו יחידי, וגם דעתו יתברך יחיד hu. The reason how and why things are the way they are in this world is because the Ribono Shel Olam decided for it to be so, like we've said so many times. Israelis have a lot of interesting inyanim, but one of them is a very good one. When you ask any Israeli, lama, what do they say? Kacha. Lama, kacha. Right? So you can frustrate the daylights out of you, but it is the deepest answer in the world. Lama, kacha. Remember kacha, Rashi Tevos? Keser kol aksarim. Kabbalah, it says this. Keter kol aktarim, meaning that the highest answer you could give for why something is not an answer that'll logically add up in your mind, but it's the emes. Why are things the way they are? Because Hashem made it like this. Keter kol aktarim, the highest place of crown knowledge, is because Hashem wanted this to be like this. So, the healthiest way in life is starting your day melechatchila like that. Not that you reach that place of b'diavad, when something doesn't add up, but lechatchila already, I'm starting my day saying, okay, Ribono Shel Olam, I'm going to give it a shot today. You gave me Torah, mitzvahs, you gave me a lot of things in life. I don't understand lama megia li klum, why I deserve anything. But what I'm going to start my day off, hopefully, in lechatchila, is with the notion of I'm not supposed to understand how everything adds up and how everything makes sense in my life. A person that does that, he's already out of Mitzrayim in the morning. That's meshuchrar. That's freedom. Not freedom to act any way you want to act, but it's freedom from this compulsive and human need to always understand why things are the way they are and how they add up and why they don't add up. A ksil, ish bar lo yadel chsil yovinazaz, is constantly stuck in that mind game, in that chatterbox, all day long. People go through gilgulim like this. So don't feel bad if you have an off day. People go through full gilgulim like this, trying to travel through this. And that's why, and the Rebbe is saying this to us for clear reasons based on the beginning of this parak, but he's going to continue. Et asher yirtzeh Hashem v'yachkok ba'olam, mevin ha'ish b'sichlo shetovu. Ve'et asher lo yirtzeh Hashem v'lo yachkok, mevin ha'ish shelo tovu. What God wants there to be in the world and engraved in the world, that is good. And what God doesn't want to be engraved and be in this world, we understand that's not a good thing, meaning we shouldn't be. Now let's understand, what is he referring to? The laws of nature. That's what he's referring to. כשרצה וחקק השם שתסבב השמש ממזרח למערב, כולם יודעים ומבינים בשכלם שכן צריך להיות. Okay. So, what do I know about God? What's one thing that I know about him, based on what he just said right now? Where did God want the sun to rise from?
Israel.
מפה, נכון? And where should it, כאילו, set? Mizrach u'marav, east and west, נכון? So because Hashem said it, did it like that, so what do I say about that?
That's good.
Do I understand that? Do I understand that at all? No, but I accept it as a fact. Why? Kach Hashem chakak beteva habriya. That is how Hashem, what he engraved in the nature of creation. Let me ask you, Shaila, why doesn't that drive you guys crazy?
Why doesn't it go the other way?
Yeah, why doesn't it drive you nuts? Why doesn't it drive you crazy? What's that? It's always been like that, nachon? And also, does it really, does it affect our emotions so much? So it doesn't really make a difference, right? Nachon. So it's interesting. Now he says, V'shelo tesabev hu neged hasechel. Ve'ilu ratza Hashem b'chakak shelo tesabev, o shetesabev mimarav lemizrach, כי אז הבינו אנשים בשכלם שצריכה שלא לסבב, או לסבב מן המערב למזרח. David, you could just say this in English.
But if God had wanted it not to move, or to move from west to east, then people would think that that was logical too.
And that's it. Gamarnu. That's what it is when guarding the sun. He's taking that as a chuk in the Teva, right? Next page. And Eli Stone, who's with us right now online, he should have a refuah shlema and come back from the hospital soon. Bezrat Hashem just texted us, it is what it is. Kacha. Af haratzon achi chazak. We're on the top of Kuf. Af haratzon achi chazak. Asher sam Hashem b'chol ba'alei chaim lichyot, שנראה לנו כל כך פשוט לפי השכל, גם כן לא בשכל יסודו. So you see, like an amazing thing. What do animals have in them? This instinct of survival. Animals have this, nachon? They have this instinct of, I gotta fight to stay alive.
Fight or flight.
Huh?
Fight or flight.
Why? Like, it's like, oh no, of course it makes sense, right? Why does it make sense to us that animals that don't have das should have a fight or flight? Why does that make sense to us? So you could say, well, we never really thought about it too much, or it makes sense to us as human beings that I would survive, that I would fight to survive. Why does it make sense to us that animals have placed within them this juke of, I need to fight in order to stay alive, if they're an animal and they don't have das? You ever stop to think about that?
Because Hashem engraved it in them.
That's it.
In their nature.
Zeo. There's no other, meaning you could come and say it's illogical. Well, it's true, it's illogical based on our human logic. It's completely logical based on HaKadosh Baruch Hu's logic. Why? Because Hashem placed this inyan in them to stay alive. Ki lama yereim hem min hasakana hakrova af harechoka mehem. Why are they nervous? Why are they scared of, close and present danger? And even, they have this sense of smell. They could smell danger from afar as well. Where does this come from? It came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, put it in them. You can't explain it any other way. במוחם ושכלם, אף בל ידעו כי סכנה היא. אף בעל חי הטורף והדורס, אותם לא יכירו מימים, גם אבותיהם לא סיפרו להם. You know what didn't happen? The mama bear didn't sit down with her cub when he was a little boy and say, listen, my son, I want you to know, our tradition is that if someone there's no Masara of survival by the bears, or by anything in the animal kingdom. It's simply that this is what Hashem Yisbarach put in Chukei Abriya. Okay? גם אבותיהם לא סיפרו להם, הכל חוק מהשם. ואת החוק הזה, אשר חקק השם, שירצה כל בעל חי לחיות, אנו מבינים בשכלנו שכן צריך להיות, שירצה כל אחד לחיות. אבל השכל הוא רק מפני שכן חקק השם. In our minds it makes sense. Why? Because we say every animal, every living creature should want to stay alive. But it's shtuyot that it's in our mind that makes sense. In our mind, it also makes sense that every living creature shouldn't want to walk around naked. Nachon? So why don't animals have that busha? Why? Kacha. There is no, you understand? You understand what the Rebbe is driving us to? He's saying, all the chokhmas that we think we've come to in our lives, the need to understand and all these things, at a certain point you got to drop it. You should need to have a ratzon to be close to Hashem, to understand the Torah He gave us, the only thing He gave us in order to be close to Him. Chutz mizeh, all those things that prevent us from jumping into Torah, jumping into Kedusha, are all things that you will never come to any answers in this world. And any answer you get that explains to you why kacha or kacha, it's all ze klum, ze shum davar. It's nothing. It just prevents you from jumping in. This is very connected to the Torah we're learning with the women in Reb Tzadok HaKohen about leaving Mitzrayim. Yetzias Mitzrayim had to be b'chipazon, had to be fast. Why? Because Reb Tzadok says, to start doing anything for real, you had a certain point you got to jump. Why? Because if you think you need to understand in order for you to be ready to jump into something, you will never, ever get there. You'll never do it. Why? Because the mind that we have, the way Hashem designed it, is that the mind, al pi mai seichel enoshi, meaning the ksil and the bar in me, will never let me jump because it's a risk. And according to the mind, I don't take risks. It's a risk. I don't do that. I have to be fully protected at all times. And the Rebbe is pointing us here to a very nekuda ekronit here, that he hopefully wants us to approach at a certain point in life that we don't wait to realize on our deathbed. Because the guy, let's go back for a second, the guy's lying on his deathbed. Can you imagine he's trying to use his logical mind to understand why he's going through what he's going through? What is he going to do? What is he going to do with it? He's going to realize the second before he dies, I was such shtuyot, being so fixated on needing to understand how everything works in order to progress in life. So the Rebbe is saying, well, don't wait till you're 119 and 364 days. Do it now at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Do it now. Jump there now. Back inside. Et asher yechokek Hashem ye'ehav ha'ish. Uvo yismach, that which God was chakak, that means that which God engraved, but here he also means, chakak means he lawed, meaning he set as a law, as a chok. What do we know about chukim?
Can't understand it.
So he's saying that which God placed as a thing that you can't understand, he says that's what a person should love. Uvo yismach, and it should also be besimcha, that you're actually attaching yourself to the way Hashem created the world. Bet asher lo yichokek, and that which is not in that category, im'as mimeno yatsev, that which what should deter you, push you away. Kshenoladnu, lo mida'atenu, rak bal korchenu banu lezeh ha'olam b'rtzonu gzeres Hashem. This is maybe the most important line I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to say it again and then I'll say it in English. Kshenoladnu, lo mida'atenu, rak ba'al korchenu banu lezeh ha'olam b'rtzonu gzeres Hashem. Okay, chavra. Oh, if I could, I would do like, if we really had the time, I'd sit with each and every one of you right now, then I want you to ask me back the following question. Why are you here? Who chose to be here? Raise your hand. Not here to come to shir. Who chose to be here right now and go through this world of bilbulim and so? Did you choose to come here?
He says no.
He says, why am I here? There's only one reason. Hashem wanted me to be here. Do I understand that? I don't understand that. Now imagine you walk into a room and you have inyanim with people, and not that it ever happens anywhere, but let's say there was a shul, you walk in and there's some people that don't exactly get along, right? Not that we know what that's about, right? Khalila, right? You walk into a minyan, someone doesn't really understand. If you stop for a second before you walk in with all of your masa, all these thoughts you have about a person, and say, wait a second, that guy did not choose to be here. He's here because Hashem wants him to be here. Like that's the starting point of everything. Do you know what kind of a different outlook we would have on life? What a different experience we would have going in this world? You're saying, wait a second, stop for a second. You know what the greatest chok, the greatest secret of a chok is? Look in the mirror and just acknowledge you didn't choose to come down to this world. Now I know the Baal Shem Tov is a Torah. There's really, we agree at a certain point to come down, but you know, for now the Piasetzna Rebbe is pretty close to the Baal Shem Tov, right? The way he's saying in Darshan, he's saying, none of us, we're all chukim. Each person in this room is a chok. Hashem wanted you to be here, that's why you're here. If Hashem didn't want you to be here, you wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here. None of us would be here. That's a chok. Like, meaning he's saying sometimes we think of chukim. Where do we go when we say chok? In our minds, halachically? Shatnez, paraduma, where else? When it comes to, certain things of kashrus, of course. Where else? And so, ish albe. He's saying, but the greatest chok really is me, you. As if you understand you, as if you understand your whole package. No, you're a chok. But the beauty of a chok is that when I choose to be happy from a chok, right? When I choose for that bring me simcha, I'm in the right zone. So I'm besimcha. I'm looking around a bunch of Hashem's chukim right now. Like I'm looking around the room right now and I'm saying chok, 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 chok. He says, the Piasetzna Rebbe says, this should make you happy. You know?
Yes, Rav Shlomo, I want to say smicha, what should I say? This is why often after you talk to your Rav, you don't know the value of you.
Oh, yeah, the value. It's givat. Nachon. So deep. As if you could ever know the value. But at least you have to want to, you have to want to know as much as you can, al pi sechel enoshi, the value of Hashem's chukim.
What I'm saying here is that we get into trouble because we try to create the value of another person.
Right.
Instead of a priori saying, God already established the person's value.
Higher or lower, I mean, it doesn't matter, yeah. Is your hand up? No, just pay us for it? Yeah. Again, it's אשר יחוקק השם יאהב האיש ובו ישמח ואת אשר לא יחוקק ימאס ממנו יעצב. כשנולדנו לא מדעתנו, רק בעל כורחנו באנו לזה העולם ברצונו גזירת השם. ולאחר אריכות שנותינו ברצונו גזירתו נלך. And guess what? You know what else is a chok? Not just our birth, our death too. Also our death is the same way we came in, the same way we come out. Meaning in this realm it means Hashem decided. And this is what we say at a funeral. Hashem natan, Hashem lakach. What's the conclusion? Yehi Shem Hashem mevarach ma'atav adayim. Why? Lama? Kacha. Now, David, listen. Don't try this at a shiva house. It's not... like the people are there crying and he's sitting there. You know, like, what's the Indian here? Kacha. Don't, you know... don't try this at home kind of. It means like try it at home. Don't try it anywhere else, right? גם עולם הזה שלו, גם עולמות העליונים והתחתונים שלו, ותמיד ובכל עולם שנמצא ברשותו יתברך ותחת כנפיו נהיה. All the worlds you live in, everything you've gone through in this world, the only way to really go through this world with mamashut is understanding at every given second, you're here because Hashem wants you to be here. You're here because Hashem wants you to be here. This is the only thing we have. And to leave this world and with that shleimus hadas of this is what Hashem wants also, then you realize there is no difference between this world and the next world. There's no difference. Because if it's based on Hashem's ratzon that I should be here, then Masa Mishaneh when I go to the next world. Like Rabbi Nachman told his Chassidim before he died. Listen, Chevra, death, don't freak out. It's like going from this room to the next room. Right? That's where he was holding. But in the pnimius of things, when I live with that awareness, which is what this Sefer is driving us to live with, Lama lihi ba'el kol kach? Why freak out so much? Now, about ourselves, that's true. But when you see someone else in pain, going through the suffering, Hashem gave you a mouth to open up your mouth and daven for Rahmanis over another person. So he ends over here like this, and he says like this. וכיוון שרצוננו, מחשבותינו, שמחתנו, וכל נטיותינו מאת השם המה, our ratzon, our machshavas, our semcha, our netiyah, our habit, not really habit.
Nature?
Tendency is better, I think. Leanings. What does he say, David? It's the last paragraph. Our what? Since our will, our thoughts, our simcha. You see it?
This is our joy and our gladness.
Yeah, continue.
Are in Hashem in His Torah.
He jumps up. Okay, netiyoteinu, tendencies, I guess. It's usually it's used in modern Hebrew. Me'et Hashem ema. לכן רק מי שבדרכי השם בתורתו הולך אמיתיות הם. Now, since everything about us that makes us tick is from Hashem, the only way that those things that make us tick and all the emotions and everything are real is when it's aligned with the manual where Hashem says this is the only way it'll all add up in this world. Through the lens of the Torah. All these things you feel, all these emotions and tendencies, since they're also chukim from Hashem, the only way that it'll be felt that it's real is when it's aligned with the way that the manual shows us how to implement all of it. והאיש המתרחק ממנו ותורתו חס ושלום, אז רצונו, מחשבתו, שמחתו וכל נטיותיו בדויות הם. שקר, אבדון ומוות, רחמנא ליצלן. This is like a total mash, this is like a full-on masharim paragraph, what he's saying over here. He's really saying it's either all or nothing, right? He's saying a person, on the other hand, that goes further and further away from the Torah, and then they have all these truths and feelings and emotions and all these things. He's saying badui, beduyoten. You know what that means, badui?
No.
Fake, made up. Nachon? How would you say badui? Yeah. Made up.
Counterfeit, false.
Counterfeit, it's false. Now, what does that mean, without going too philosophical right now? It's a very heavy statement, what he just said right now. He's saying, when I go away, when I move away from the way that Hashem said, here, this is the way to live, and I'm experiencing all these things in life that have nothing to do with bedarke, kedusha, v'atahara, because I'm thinking about a person that, and each of us have plenty of people in our family, friends, relatives, that will sit next to us and say this, you want to tell me that the joy that I feel in life, which has nothing to do with the Torah, is counterfeit, it's false, it's not real? So what would the Piasetzna Rebbe tell him at this moment? Yeah, what would you tell him at this moment? What would you say?
You like an example?
Yeah, I mean, there's many.
The same because it has no anchor to anything. It's just out there. It's not attached to anything like...
Give an example. Give a good example.
So if somebody has the birth of a child, for example, and they don't attach it to anything meaningful, Hashem gave me this, therefore this opportunity to do mitzvot. So what's it totally on? Nothing really. They're just happy. They don't really know why. So it's sort of they're making up reasons, but there's no yesod to it.
That's a very they have a problem with that. Big, right?
Yeah.
Because what's the counter to that? You're gonna tell me, right? You're gonna tell me that this simcha that I have is not real simcha.
But he is connecting to the
Shurish.
chok that Hashem break that neshama in, and he's having simcha. He doesn't know that it's from Hashem, but he's having simcha in the MS of that chok. So it's not a good example to say that that's the.
He's just not
sheker.
attaching. He's just not attaching it to the makor of the chok.
One like an example of something that the thing is totally off.
I mean, I have a great example, right?
Guy just doing straight out of Nevera and having fun.
I mean, it's a pretty hot topic. You want to say one?
No, I was gonna say, having a kid, it seems like
without it, it's sort of like a negative, not a positive. Like now this thing is like a parasite that you have to take care of. But the law tells you that you have to feed it and clothe it and everything else. Why are you happy? Like what is the happiness? Where's it coming from?
Right.
What's the source of that?
Right. Nachon. He's just not attaching it to that, but true. Nachon.
See, I was thinking that it's like you should Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah, give it over.
Well,
How?
because, if we go all good, following the old Moshe and the Satmar, so we are just out of our mind. I mean, completely out of our
Right.
minds.
Right. Playing with fire. Playing with fire. Nachon.
We just made the whole thing up. You think you're doing a mitzvah by living here, you're absolutely out of your mind. You're
What?
just a
Right.
gopher. I mean, it's straight out, they say it. We are B'nai Satan. I mean, you are out of your mind.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know, I don't know what to do with that. No.
Well, clearly you don't.
I mean, I'm telling you, so I say to them, guys, you're the ones who are out of your mind. So when everyone's out of their mind, like,
No, I think what he's looking for is like a. I think, okay, I'm going to say the following thing, and I'm ready to ask Mechila if this offends anyone, okay? Psychedelics.
Drugs.
But the ones that really, really, really make you feel that you are in ecstasy, right? Mamash, and it really makes you feel that not just you're in ecstasy, you're healed. It's actually fixing something, right? So it's a very complicated sugya today because I have so many friends in this parsha that are really trying to seek this out in a positive way, in a medicinal way, v'chulei. But when it's completely not coming from that place, it's mamish, the joy, the shleimus you feel, the shleimus you feel is sheker. The shleimus that you feel. Huh?
It's not real though. That fool says much on it.
כאילו זה התכלית של ההפוך, meaning...
When you back down, if you're still feeling the same shleimus, then great.
Right.
You're connected.
Right.
But if you only need that high to feel connected, that's not connected. That's not faith.
Right. You remember the story, like, this happened a few times. Someone came to Rav Shlomo and offered him a joint, and I told you many times, and it was the same answer always. He's like, brother, I'm here right now, right? Where is this going to take me? Like, here? Here? I'm here, right? And then when I'm finished, where am I going to be? Here? I'm with Reb Nachman. When I'm finished with Reb Nachman, I'm even higher than I was before I took it. That's why Evyatar Banai has an amazing song about the 12-step program. Based on the 12-step program, it's called Machul, which means addicted, right? So he has a line in there, the chorus, it's so amazing. He says, חושב לאט, אוויר נקי, הנצח הזה הוא חולף. This netzach that I'm under the impression I'm experiencing when I'm under the influence, cholef. What does cholef mean? No, the word is like, how do you say cholef in English? Like passes by. It doesn't last, right? And so he's saying, now again, why is this so tricky? Because today, what's happening is that everything is Kilu been doing, like now, the whole world of, a huge chunk of the world of psychedelics has OU. Has Achsherim, has Badatz. So it's even getting more confusing to figure this out. Saying, no. I'm doing it, I'm doing it with Nigunim, I'm doing it with I'm doing Daf Yomi in the middle, meaning it's a lo soter. Used to be drugs was like treif, nothing to do with Yiddishkeit. And now it's kilo a way that it's finding its way in a certain way. And we don't understand these things at all. We don't understand anything like that. But what's for sure true is that as high as you can get through anything that's any level of coming from outside of you in is not ever, could never be close to that which is inside of you to come out. En sikui. Now, what do we believe is already planted inside of us? A nefesh elokit, a godly soul. So no matter what Torah you're giving me that I need to take from the outside to put inside, I need a Rebbe that's going to take me the other way around, to show me first my inside, and then come out and heal the outside. Because the inside is untouched. It's not pagum. It's not blemished. It's not blemished. It's untouched. I think we're getting to it over here is because this is something that we see. We see a lot of people that are, forget about psychedelics and everything. I'm talking about like people that are not, their lives seem to have nothing to do with Torah and mitzvahs, and they seem to be very happy. They seem to actually look much healthier than a lot of people that are filled with Torah and mitzvahs. No? No, I mean, come on. 100%. This is a struggle. This is a real struggle. Saying this paragraph is a real struggle. And I wanted to put it out, like Mamash, put it in our faces, saying, the Rebbe is saying, listen, if it's not coming within the pnimius of what the Torah is all about, he calls it counterfeit. He calls it fake. He calls it made up. Now, again, you don't go up to a person and tell them, brother, you look so good. I just want to let you know, like,
It ain't real.
you know that, I could peel this off of you in a second. That's not our avoda either. Because frankly, most of us that have gotten a bitter taste of Torah didn't come because the other world attracted us more. It came mainly from people that were representing Torah, gave us a bitter taste. That's the danger of all this. The Mashiach to check out is not because there it's so good. It's more because if this is what's supposed to make me feel so aligned with myself, this is the worst. This is mamash not for me. Mamash not for me. You know how many of my friends that came back from India, they said, they got in touch with their Yiddish neshama when they were there somehow. And all their swamis and the shem, whatever the chevra are there, they told them, you're a Jew. You have this already. Go to Jerusalem. Well, and they came to Jerusalem, and Yerushalayim threw them so far away. This is what Rav Shlomo was screaming about in the 60s and 70s. Screaming about this. Because they got a little shtickle taste of something about them, the insides. And they read a sentence like this, it has to be, Rak mishe bedarkei Hashem v'torato holech. Okay, so I have to find someone that's walking bedarkei Hashem and Torah and can teach me Torah. But the Torah that they were being taught and told was, until you shave off, until you cut your ponytail, you can't have anything to do with the real thing. Mazeh. Apito. That can't be it either. That's why there's such a hunger today for learning Pnimius HaTorah, for learning Torahs like, this Torah, for learning the insides, to look at people with the inside light, and to live in a state of bittul, knowing that my seichel is so mugbal. I'm just going to try, Hashem, to be a shliach for your word, not my opinion, your word in the world, and give it over like that. If you allow me to, v'chulei. That's the only thing I'm going to try to do. Because this is a very heavy, even though we know this is true, it makes the responsibility on us that, so to speak, are emissaries of Hashem's word, of Torah, that much more heavier. Kidding me? That much more heavier. Infinitely more heavier. I've shared with you guys so many times, I feel sometimes so much more at home when I'm sitting with when I travel and I sit with chevra, conscious, mamash, like deep awareness people, non-Jews, sometimes even Yidden, but by them it's a little bit hard because you want to, bring them in all the time. But, non-Jewish brothers and sisters that are thinking big, they're thinking, right? I feel free, I feel open, I feel like I breathe, right? And then you sometimes sit with chevra that they mean well, but their concept of Hashem is so shrunken. It's like it's so small. It's just so tiny. It's so small. So these kind of Torahs push us to say, look, the outside world is very, very convincing that it's good, it's sameach, it's free, it's healthier, and it looks healthier, and it feels healthier. In the pnimius by the neshama v'yid, that's badui, that's sheker. It's not real. It's fake. But how can I give over that message in a way that really makes them feel I want to hunger for the truth? Because to rip them away from this spiritual conscious life that they're living, you better give them a Baal Shem Tov Shabbos. You know what I mean? You better give them the greatest thing in the world to get chevra like that, to come and join, your truth, your Dvar Hashem. Okay, let's finish the paragraph. ומכל שכן אנחנו שבחר בנו להיות בניו ועבדיו וקידשנו מצוותיו ותורתו שכל עבודתנו בשמחה תהיה. You know what? The Rebbe is saying, at the end of the day, the avoda that we are engaged with, the avoda of chukim, which is basically everything, should be besimcha. Uma simchatenu, uma simchat Yisrael bichlal ba'olam. What's the only real simcha about any Jew has in this world? Kmo she'amar pasuk, sos asis ba'Hashem, tagel nafshi be'elokai. I highly urge you all to find Kardunu's nigun to these words. Yosef Kardunu has a nigun with these words, sos asis ba'Hashem. It's a beautiful, beautiful nigun. Sos asis, where? Ba'Hashem. Tagel nafshi. My nefesh will have gila, this inner joy, be'elokai, only in my God. Bo yitbarach betorlato simchatenu usasonenu. We should be zocher that which really makes us happy, really makes us happy. And Hashem should have rachmanas on us. We grew up in a world that would really give us. If the Lakers won, Bemet, I'm being honest, like that really actually made me happy in basketball. When my team won, if I look back at my childhood, that brought me much more simcha than if I finished Masechta Mishnayos. So Hashem has to make you have rachmanas on us and somehow bring it down that being close to Him in the real simcha, it should be mashpia on me in a way that defines my real state of simcha. And we should never, God forbid, ever judge anyone who hasn't yet found the simcha in the world of Torah. And they found simcha in other places. They're just waiting for a Baal Shem Tov. They're waiting for the real deal. God bless you. We should be part of those that bring a message of being the real deal. Bezrat Hashem. There won't be shir this Wednesday morning. I'm not going to be here. We'll continue next Monday. But we'll learn Friday, Bezrat Hashem.